Captain on the bridge.
Alright, Captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, we got some things to go over from the Star Trek Online X feed. So, on screen. Yes, Captains, before we get into this video, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, as it does really help the channel out, but also, if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love, our passion for Star Trek Online, but also things Star Trek. Now that said, here we go. Caps, we got a couple days of missed blogs here, so we're gonna just go over that as we normally do, drop the two ECs, and then at the end give our conclusion. So first up here, so as part of the launch of Star Trek Online Incursion, 3 new bridge interiors will be available for captains on Xbox and PlayStation. So of course this has already been covered by us here when it went live on PC, but it is now the console bridge's turn. And yes, a great addition, and finally them giving us these bridges here. So 3 new Starship bridges here. So it's time to boldly go in style. As part of the launch of Star Trek Online Incursion, 3 new bridge interiors will be available for Star Trek Online players on Xbox and PlayStation. These 3 bridges will be available to anyone who has purchased or purchases their equivalent ship. So that is kind of the prereq here, but the Miranda bridge, we all get that. Regardless, we all get that. So first up, the new Miranda class bridge from the tutorial. Not only will this bridge be available right after the tutorial in your brand new tough little ship, but also be available on most Federation starships. So this is a great looking bridge right here. I do love this one. Of course, you got the Yorktown here. That also is a good looking remaster. I still kind of like the first one, but you just have to own any version of the Yorktown and you will get this beauty right there, and it's listed of which ones you need there. And of course, the Katinga bridge of the Chancellor Laurel's personal flagship. This bridge will be available to anyone who owns or purchases any of the following ships. So as you can see here, different ships for the KDF side, but still a very welcomed addition for free. And it's going to be launching with Incursion, which I believe is November 1st, Cap. So be on the lookout for that, because I know a lot of console caps are excited for that. So there is that. Quickly just going over that. Next up here, so again, we went over this, but we'll just quickly go over this. We're updating how remodulation works against the Berg on Xbox and PlayStation. Resistance is not futile. So the Berg, I did a thumbnail here with like us throwing a remodulator. I do like the feature. It is good. It looks better, more intuitive when you can actually just press your remodulation. But what I'll actually do is link that video in the description below. But this is a good read. You'll see here that this new feature is, I feel, not really required for the original Borg, but more for the newer Borg. And that newer Borg, really, you get to only fight them in the new mission, the ground ones at least, or the ground portion, I should say. But we just read some of this. We're updating how remodulation works against a Borg on console. It'll no longer be a device you have to equip, and you can earn and build special remodulators. The reward for the featured event is you get a remodulator there. So previously, remodulation required you to fetch a special remodulator device and equip it in the device slot. Now, basic remodulation is a built-in function. When the Borg start to adapt to your weapons, the option to remodulate will appear over your power tray. You no longer need a frequency remodulator item, and basic remodulators will be removed from your inventory automatically. So that's awesome. And again, you can make them here, but you'll get one for doing the actual featured episode. So we'll see how this works in future TFOs, or if they decide to make more TFOs with the Mirror Borg or even the story missions. I'm pretty sure we're still going to face them. It's all right. It's all right. It's a good visual update. I think I do like how it looks, and it is easy to remodulate, and as it mentions here, you don't have to actually carry a device, or doesn't take a device slot. So I will still link the video there, of course, because we go over all of this. But since it has already passed on PC, we give it a good thumbs up and a welcomed feature for sure. So next up, this was kind of freaky. So this felt like it was kind of out of nowhere. It says, oh no, GOWRON has lost his eyes and needs you to give him some in the comments. So people went crazy with this. It was kind of freaky and hilarious at the same time. That did actually come to my mind, because we all know GOWRON has been very, very popular for the way he just kind of gives you the stare at you. And so Caps had some fun with this. That's kind of freaky. I don't like spiders, so that reminded me of a spider. So I guess some little fun. It'd be nice if they just kind of keep doing this on occasion here and there, and just have Captains let loose on sort of their creativity. So I thought that was just kind of fun to go over right there. Next up here, now this was of course already a day ago, but there was maintenance. There was nothing really other than just a server restart for the console bridge. No patch notes or anything, but they use the same image for patch notes. Next up, so starting November 1st, again, that is the drop of Incursion right there. You can upgrade your ships even further on Xbox and PlayStation, known as the T6X2. So the experimental ship upgrade path is opening even further. Apply more tokens to your ships and even get more device, console, and trade slots live soon on console. So the experimental technology has been one of Starfleet's greatest strengths. Recently, they extended their experimental ship upgrade technology to the rest of the Khitomer Alliance, and now has paid off in spades. Federation, Romulan, Klingon, and Dominion scientists working in concert have expanded these experimental ship upgrades to double their power. And when Star Trek Online Incursion launches on the console bridge, you'll be able to take advantage. So ships can now be upgraded one level past the previous T6X. In addition to the upgrades that come with applying an experimental ship upgrade token for the first time, applying this upgrade adds one device slot, one universal console slot, and one Starship trade slot. That means that upgrading to the new T6X2 grants you 2 of each in total. However, this second upgrade will cost you a little bit more. Here's how it'll work. So upgrading a basic vanilla T6 ship to a T6X requires 1 as normal. Upgrading a T6 ship to a T6X2 requires 3 experimental ship upgrade tokens. And upgrading a T6X ship to a T6X2 requires 2 experimental ship upgrade tokens. Enjoy having even more versatile ships to explore the cosmos, captains. We'll see you in game. So I've only actually T6X2 one ship, and that was the Inquiry so far. And it's great. It's great to have, I'm not going to lie, but it's just not necessary. I still feel I'm taking that position. Of course, if you're in the game of min-maxing, this is great. You can then try out new consoles you thought that you had to switch out a better console for or whatnot, and you can have a little bit more fun. For me, I'm going to experiment with having probably 2 weapon types and having traits and personal slots that support those even more, because you do get a lot more trait slots. So it's going to be fun, I think, for me to, as a way to just experiment more with just having fun with consoles that I probably would have never used in a long time, or have, and just has been sitting there in the inventory. So, but Caps on the console, it's going to be coming with Incursion, so that's something to look forward to, because I know I've been seeing comments there on the YouTube videos on when, especially on the T6X2. So soon, captains, soon. Next week as of the drop of this video. So that was actually all from the X feed. Now the other thing I wanted to go over here quickly was some things of mention from the 10 forward stream that was done today as of this video, or yesterday I guess as of this video. So there was not any announcement, but more of a Q&A that Ambassador Kale did do. And as you can see, he's here. And Captains, you know, we did a recent video on us saying game over, but that was in reaction to a article that McStew sent us about possible staff shakeup. Now, this was addressed in this stream, so we'll quickly go over the notes that was taken so awesomely by the Sajukar. So shout out to you. We're going to go over this, and then at the end of this, of course, give the conclusions and of course our ECs as we go through this. So Cryptic has specific data that shows them that when they ask players to play evil characters and create character that only have evil choices, nobody wants to do that. Well, that statement is false. Not everybody should be what I think they should have said, not nobody, because yes, there are evil characters in Stowe. I see them all the time, which is why they won't make an evil faction like Terrans in Stowe. I still think this would still be a great, they don't need to make them evil. You need a Terran defector to come to Stowe to join Federation because he's sick of the Terran, whatever. I still think that would be doable. Doesn't have to be evil, just have a little chip in on his shoulder there for the sake of the story, the Terran recruit part. But I don't know. I still think it's an idea that they can do in the future, but unlikely to make any new factions for Stowe in the foreseeable future. Updating older uniforms to be more in line with current ones in terms of quality/color options is a time thing. They have to balance between updating older stuff and making newer stuff. The newer stuff is more important because the newer stuff could also make them more money. So though they do this very sparingly, it does happen. So Captains, I know a lot of you are more into Space Barbie, and it would be great if they could address this as along with that, but of course it's time, and to them, of course, time equals money. When asked about the recent speculation, here we go. When asked about the recent speculation about staff, Kale says there have been no changes to any of the teams at Cryptic, and as we can see, he is still employed there also. As of now, for now. Additionally, when asked about Stowe, Kale says there's nothing to suggest Stowe Neverwinter Champions is going anywhere. Kale believes Stowe has another 10 to 15 years in it. He did also make another comment there that, for now, after he said that, the gaming industry was very volatile. So things could still end in a quick moment. Staff changes could still happen without notice. We've been through this type of corporate change before, so I'm staying as optimistic as I can. Captains, you know I love Stowe, and we all love Stowe in our own little way. I said conservatively like 3 years, 3 to 5 years, but for Kale to say 10 to 15, I'm not sure if that suggests that's how much content that they have lined up. We do know that they're always a year ahead, but they could also be planning a couple years in terms of getting voiceovers, right? So that is a thing. 10, 15 years, I wish. I really do. If that's the case, I'll be playing this with you, Caps, well into my 50s. And that is what I hope. Who knows what Stowe's going to look like in that time frame, but I hope that stays true. I will say conservatively 3 to 5. But again, with all the Trek currently now, as of this video, or at least the Trek that we have currently on, we have Lower Decks showing right now. Strange New Worlds just finished. There's another season going on there. Discovery hasn't even shown yet, so that's in 2024. We still have those movies. We still have Prodigy. So there's still a good handful of Trek. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If all the Trek were to end from that point on, I give it 3 to 5. But if Kale says 10 to 15, then the more the better for all of us, of course. Next up, Kale believes that there's likely rights issue with the Protostar, which is why you can't 3D print it. Didn't even know that. Don't know why. You've already released it to Stowe. Why can't you print it? It just means more money for everyone. Kale passed along the list of irreclaimable items from Zen store packs to the team, and we'll follow up on it. When asked about T6 Legendary version of the Dyson, that has been such a long time request. Kale says last time he talked to Thomas, plans to make every ship to T6, so it'll likely happen at some point. Would I get them? No. I already have the ones with events. They're great ships. Of all of them, I do like the Romulan much better cosmetically. The Feds, ugh. The KDF ones are okay. Kale asked one of the programmers about more ship zoom options for consoles. What he was told was the ship options are different for every ship, but there are ship people have troubles with. Zoom in far in or out. Go on the forums and make a list of them. Someone in chat mentioned a workaround where you plug a keyboard into your console and use a page. Oh wow, get more zoom in and out. That's quite interesting. Vault bug fix should be hitting consoles soon, as it already fixed on PC. Kale will pass along a request for the Klingons' torps from the motion picture. So that's awesome. Like that. More pretty looking torpedoes. Kale doesn't know of any immediate plans to bring any of the new ships from the Star Trek Infinity. We'll have to look at that. I have said before that game, and we did cover it once here, is just not my type of game, but I'd be interested to see what type of ships that are new there to Infinite that they could possibly port over here to Stowe. Moopsy Combat Pet was requested by pretty much everyone, even people who work on Neverwinter. Message Kale asking if it's possible to have it there. What's crazy? Passing how big the demand it is. Now that they know the door's open, it's likely we'll see more items for the older Trek games added to Stowe. Kale isn't aware of anything in the works right now. I will say it again. We know that Thomas likes the Ark Royal from, I believe, Trek Starfleet Command 2. I would definitely buy that ship, as it looks pretty cool. It's a carrier ship there in that game. It's possible to get ships from the ships of the line calendars. Kale will mention the Bonaventure to the team. After that event ends, the Feast event is coming back to PC with Red Alert in between. Not a huge fan of the Feast, but we'll see what the reward they give us this year. Current storyline is planned to run through the 15th anniversary. Wow. Interesting. So 2 years of this. Always a chance. 2 years? Yeah. Because this is, well, I guess with the Terran stuff, we've been with them for a couple of years now, so I guess this is what they have planned. Always a chance we'll see the Picard leather jacket uniforms. Kale isn't aware of them doing currently, however. That is great. I do like those uniforms. That'd be great. It kind of reminds me of 7 of 9's sort of dud that she wore there in Picard. It's unlikely Kale will ever be able to talk about the non-Trek crossover that Stowe almost did. I feel like this is that show that Seth MacFarlane did. For some reason, the name escapes me right now. But that show, for a hot second, I did watch, and it really did feel like Trek. And captains, if you know that show, please tell me in the comments below right now. My brain's not working. But I feel like that was the one because it was so close to Star Trek. I think that would have been the easier one to sort of meld. And he also even mentioned that he would love to see a transforming Enterprise. Caps, most of you know. If you don't, I'm also a big Transformers fan, so I've been collecting Transformers here for years, and when I saw that, I believe the Enterprise transformed into a Fortress Maximus. That was pretty cool. Say no one has better Trek movies, but without being a Star Trek movie. Not sure what that means. So, but what's your guess, or if you know what he's talking about, Caps, comments below, please. Unlikely Cryptic will ever make a token that lets you upgrade special seeding to the highest possible rank. Yeah, I would have probably done that, or want that. Discovery Andorians are still being worked on. The artist's free time. Gale hopes is pushing for a remaster of the removed Klingon War episodes. The people who decide these things mostly want to work on new stories. I don't know why you want to remove them in the first place. I know it didn't flow with the story, but maybe just remove them from the story arc, but still have them accessible somewhere else. I don't know. I'd like to get new bridges. If they have to include ready rooms, the compromise they have to make with the new bridges, either put them out as is or wait for the environment artist to get free time. Ready rooms possibly never. When discussion was going on internally about the new bridges, It's Kale who urged the people would rather have the bridges minus the ready room than not have the bridges at all. 100%. I want my Sovereign bridge and I want my NX bridge. I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. Please. I want that. Weapon overrides are a sticky issue, which is weird because what they're alluding to here is a feature that Stowe had apparently, from what I was told before my time, that you can override the visuals of any weapon by just kind of doing the thing that we do now with visuals for like shields and deflectors and all that stuff. So, but it says here, way back in the day, Paramount said no. Kale doesn't know if any of it is still an issue today, but due to the initial no, the game was coded in such a way that makes it difficult to switch weapon visuals. Every weapon has its effect individually coded to that weapon. It's not that the weapon is calling for an effect list that can be easily redirected to some other effect. Unlikely Cryptic will go back to revamp any old interior, port over new assets, and rebuild them most from scratch. It wasn't sure that anything special for Discovery's final in January. Stowe isn't matching up as much with the shows at this point, which is true. But doesn't mean that they're going to still not port over things from the shows, especially ships. Ships. VFX issues have been talked about internally. Kale will bring it up again. Yes, too much spam. Requests for a non-tanker D5. Unlocking hangar pets. All the ships case by case thing. Unlikely any new kind of foundry system to be made, which is sad. That made me sad because the foundry, unfortunately, I found at a very late stage in its life, like 3 months before it got sunsetted. And I loved the stories that people were making, especially the Terran arc that I was going through. It was great. It made me make a Terran character, and it was just one of the story was so rich. A lot of reading, but what people were able to do with the Foundry was just amazing. And I really wish they'd reconsider that, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. In 10, 15 years, if this game does last that long, there's a lot that could happen. The narrative team to bring it back, he feels like they probably only remember as being a pain to fix, which it was. Whenever there's a new patch, new update, new season, it almost felt like months before the Foundry came back. So, of course, again, time, right? Time equals money for them. Kale has been pushing to be able to use any bridge on the ship you own. He's just not sure if it will ever be something they do, how easy it would be to do. More TFOs should be getting advanced elite options soon. Thank freaking goodness. Kale has brought this up multiple times. We got the elite and advanced versions of the new TFOs, but we still don't have Operation Wolf as an advanced or elite, which is weird. Crystalline Entity, bring back elite. Corfez, I'd like to see advanced and normal versions of that, because it is a good TFO, but unfortunately now there is a bug with one of the phases. I believe it's a Teray phase, where all the VOD War ships that you fight in that specific phase come out, and there's no way you can finish it. I think we might have finished it once, but that was I think a once in a blue moon, or we came close to, or something like that. But that was using meta builds and just trying to coordinate our attacks as best as we can. But to try to survive the onslaught of the VOD War, they're already a tough group of enemies on their, when you send them in 5 at a time. But when you send all of them at once, eesh. Campbell mentioned to the team about making the available tab Arcs, Lost Dominion, Cold War Skirmish available in chronological levels if they're already at level 65 on your account. Mirborg are likely to come back in the new episode in January. So I thought we were going to get one more episode at least this year, and it sounds like probably not. Now, it says in new January, so maybe we'll still get one before then, but eesh. Again, this drip story thing, I wish they would really give us more story and not like once a quarter. There's been a few attempts over the years to bring back a different option based on carrier stuff and missions, but the team has mainly moved into everyone having the same stuff. Ask about being able to save DOF filter settings. Elachi ships in Picard Season 3 were taken from a list of Stowe alien ships Paramount asked for before the season started. So it's not one of the companies being striked against by SAG, which is great, so they should be in the clear. Cryptic would love to let players mix match things and beam ups, warp outs, but it's a big technical issue. Spaghetti code strikes again. Kale doesn't know the reasoning behind why they don't do advanced elite TFOs for the events. Would have to ask why. Possible to allow them for events. He thinks it's way too keeping it accessible to everyone. That's my same train of thought. Not having to deal with different rewards for different levels. Kale believes the chances are much higher for playable Borg Simulator compared to Borg Cube. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'd rather a Borg Sphere, to be honest. I don't like the Borg Simulators. I've made that clear. A Sphere would be better. And I know they'll say, oh, it's hard to know where you are. No, it's not. Once you see your impulse trails, you'll know where you are. Kale has seen the new Christmas sweaters, and he thinks they're very, very good. Tip coming up next month, players are going to like. I hate it when they just give us little teas. We'll have to see. You know what we'll really like? If we actually just release it in the C-Store, as opposed to an Infinity Lockbox or R&D. Winter Ship is an older ship and a very cool design. Interesting. Kale, the devs would love to write movie fiction blogs, but no one really has the time to do it anymore, of course. One of the things the team was thinking about when designing the Harmony new alien ship in the Guillotine TFO is it being a player usable. I said it before, that is the next lockbox, or will be a lockbox ship soon. There's a certain pushback from the Trek purists in the team in regards to TOS aliens, so Kale doesn't believe that will ever happen. Kale says there hasn't been any discussion on fleet things like expanding roster size. Someone in chat asked about it in a while, asked to let him know if it's an issue. So a lot of things that Kale had sort of covered and addressed, which is great, especially with that sort of rumor that was going around that we all see that we covered here as well. And kudos to them, kudos to Kale, and his demeanor was there. You know, him being the CM for the 3 games, Neverwinter, Stowe, and Champions, there's a lot on his plate. I really wish they would give him help. I don't know how that looks like. I'm not saying have another community manager. No, give him an assistant community manager, someone to run Stowe that is more, I don't want to say passionate about it, but just can just lend him help. That's all I got to say. What that help looks like, I don't know, whether it's streaming alongside him in terms of, you know, helping with builds or something. I don't know. But hopefully we'll see if they try to make improvements in terms of their staff, because like with other companies, what they like to do is do more with less. Get more productivity with less staff. I hope that they see that that's not sustainable, because that could burn out your employees. So the best thing that the higher-ups can do is give them a little hand here and there, so that there are devs that don't have to do things that are for Stowe in their free time, like Thomas has done on so many occasions, which huge kudos to him. But it shouldn't be that way, in my opinion. It really should be that if it's for Stowe that will make Stowe money, why not hire a person that, because it's going to be able to compensate that salary. But again, I'm not the higher ups there. I don't know how they think, but I think just putting it out there that the more help that you give the devs, the better health of Stowe can be. And yeah, can probably last about 10 to 15 years, and that's something that I do hope it does, because yeah, I would love to be playing this even when I'm 50 in 8 years. But anyways, Caps, that's the video. We thought we would just cover that and all the latest from the X feed. So do us a huge favor, as always, hit that like button, comment below, let us know what you think, especially on console, how excited you are for Incursion to drop. But also, I'd like to know your thoughts on the 10 forward and all the things that Kale covered, so that we can see where the mindset of my fellow captains are when it comes to Stowe currently, because it feels like it's kind of up in the air at the moment. So I'd like to really know. And of course, subscribe here to our YouTube bridge, and we will leave it on this note.
live long and prosper.